Good morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and we are here to talk about the Tao Te Ching. You hear those crickets? Isn't that nice? It only happens for a couple weeks in the year, and, it's nice. Especially when I don't have any in the house. That's always, last year I had a number in the house all the time, and it was always like, I gotta find it. But either way, here we are talking about the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written in the 6th century BC. Presumably by a guy Lao Tzu, filled with all sorts of enigmatic wisdom and text on how we might live a more reasonable life. When I talk about living a reasonable life, it's always, well, let's live this life that we're living. Let's explore this that's going on right now. There's all sorts of grievances, right? We can have grievances about anything. Our grievances don't have to stop. We can have grievances about the weather. We can have grievances about other people. We can have grievances about the time of day, about how much we've slept or how much we haven't slept or whatever the case may be. Grievances can be anywhere. It's not creative to have a grievance. It's not, there's nothing in having a grievance. The only reason that we would want a grievance is so that we could play the victim. It's funny. I volunteered a couple days this weekend at an art fair. And I've never really frequented art fairs. Now, it was an arts crafts fair. I didn't see any breakthrough artwork. I saw a lot of good craft. And that was nice. It's nice to go and see just craft. I like craft. I crochet and I make things. I make my own soap. I make my own detergent. I make my own kombucha, right? I make my own ferments. I do all these things that are crafty, Of course, there wasn't food and stuff at this one, but, there were crafts, metal crafts, glass crafts, ceramics, mostly functional stuff. Some decorative, I don't know that I saw anything that would kind of break into the fine art moniker, right? But I came across some jewelry makers, and I was a volunteer, so one of my jobs was to go around and help people set up their tents and do all of these things. And I was like, hey, do you need any help? And yes or no is really the answer. And again, I'm talking about grievances. So although they were grateful for our help, because I wasn't the only person helping them, they started into their story of maladies, right? Physical maladies, mental maladies, and all these sorts of things. And in my mind, I was like, I gotta sort of get away from these people because they're so negative. Frederick, how are you doing? Frederick Hines, you with me? I know you've come up a couple times before, and it's never really worked out. So I'm going to take you off a little sooner than I would normally. Usually I let you stay on for a minute, just in case you have to get your mic. If you wanted to come back up, please be my guest. You're welcome. So I had to get away, from this sort of it was just heavy in this corner, right? This corner, these two people that were they were just hitting everybody with all of their maladies. Sort of saying, we got a bad back, we got bad knees, we got cancer, we got this, we got that, we got all these things. And it was just one after another. It was never enough, right? They were never. And my response to everything, of course, was just sort of like, okay, good. I wasn't being mean because I wasn't being like overt. I was just like, oh, okay, good. And then I just put something down. And then I was like, okay, I got to get away from these people. And I was invited to come back and volunteer again because I'm so charismatic. On Sunday. So yesterday I went back for a couple hours and I saw the booth with the cajicas, the complainers, right? and it was closed. It was all zipped up and everything. And I asked, well, so what happened to them? Oh, they said all of their stuff got ruined in the rain and they closed up and they're going to get their tent tonight. I was like, oh, interesting. They make jewelry. So I don't know how jewelry is going to get ruined in the rain, especially when it's in a tent. So I just chalked it up to, of course they did. They carried the most negative energy of all of the people that I saw when I was there on Friday helping people set up. There was other negative energy out there, but it was more like, that's what I would expect. I mean, I do feel like people that do the craft fairs and stuff, they're always sort of looking to set themselves up to be a victim a bit, simply because they are not in control, right? They're not in control of the audience. They're not in control of the weather. They're not in control of the space and all of those things. They show up and it's a roll of the dice. So I do get the idea that these people specifically have a penchant towards leaning into negativity and leaning into not being in control, leaning into the uncertainty. But these two other people specifically had very, very heavy negativity, heavy excuses, heavy complaints, heavy grievances. And it's not hard to see, right? Even on Friday, that it's like, you're not going to have a good time here because you are setting yourself up to not have it. You don't want to have a good time. You're not even practicing to have a good time. And so nothing I can do, right? I'll help you. I'll pull out your tables. I'll put your tent up. I'll do all of these things. And none of that is good. You still can't even practice being happy for a moment. And I was like, well, when I saw their tent closed, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Of course your tent is closed. You've just, like, every moment of your day is reminding yourself of who you were yesterday. And this is something that I did when I was a kid. It's not reasonable by any stretch of the imagination. Is it reasonable to tell yourself that you are who you were yesterday, exactly the same today? That's not reasonable because it's impossible for you to be the same person you were yesterday because yesterday is now behind you. You've had yesterday as an experience. If you believe you have not learned anything from yesterday, that's not reasonable because you did learn something, unless you are suppressing your ability to learn, suppressing your ability to see change within your life. Pushing against change, saying that everything that happens to you is fruitless, or everything that happens to you is just something that's happening to you and isn't there to show you or teach you. If you're using no part of your life to grow for tomorrow, well, you are changing. Today, you are no longer who you were yesterday. You have more complaints today, right? Because as that starts to slip, as you start to slip into the manifestation, you start to get trapped by it. It starts to close in around you. Your space, Your ability to think, your ability to be still is dwindling all the time. And it's such a, it's sad. It's sad to see that. And, a lot of people say, I feel sorry for those people. Of course we do. Of course we do. But I often look at it like, you do what you can, but it's like when you want to save someone from drowning, at some point they have to stop fighting. And then you can get in and help them. There might be, like I was having a conversation, so I had to go and see, I have a friend that, a professional friend, maybe professional acquaintance, whatever. Like I interviewed him for my podcast, Recover Yourself. He's schizophrenic, doesn't take meds, and does a lot of work in what he calls the mad culture. So he's got a place that he started called the Center for Mad Culture. And it is about madness, schizophrenia, things along the lines, it's self-identified mad culture. So I went and I saw him over the weekend, and on my way back, I was, having a conversation with someone very religious, and that's fine. I mean, I talk to people about God all the time, but it was, when I was having this conversation, it was very much, we got pretty deep pretty quick. I mean, you can imagine how conversations with me, even if I just met you, would be. So it was a really sort of great conversation, but it included the invitation to open up. Right. And both for myself and for them. Right. There was a point that they sort of turned away jokingly saying, like, oh, you're the devil, because you're having these conversations that are, that challenge my faith. I'm like, well, yeah, like if your faith can't be challenged, how great is it? And so it was a really interesting weekend, full of all these like little vignettes, I guess, little interactions with people around me and stuff, and it's just interesting, I don't know. I know that all that kind of connects, but I'm not exactly sure where. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a random number for myself and see if we can expound upon this. And if anybody has a number that you want to select, please, you can join me up here on stage and we can have a little conversation about what's going on with you and on your weekend, and then pick a number for you. So for myself, number 34. We can return to that in a moment because Marianne's going to join me. But just as a title, 34 is Tao is in everything. So that really kind of resonates with me today. Marianne, how are you doing?
Yeah, sorry, I whatever. So you picked it. I'm good. I'm good. And that could be my number 2, because I just feel that Tao is everything right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in a good place.
Yeah. So tell me about your weekend. I know you sat at the opening of the Mississippi River.
I did. It was, I had gone to a different church yesterday down at Itasca State Park, and I actually sat by Bill, and that was pretty nice. And then I went to the Itasca just because I'm down there and I love it, and just kind of sat there for a while, and a lot of people. So I went down where there wasn't a lot of people, and I walked in the river, and it was just beautiful. It just felt so much part of nature. And
that was a tiny little creek that you were in.
Oh yeah. It's pretty small at that point.
Yeah, and then it just opens up to be the Mississippi. Like that's a pretty impressive like experience, like just to be able to like stand in the middle of this river It seemed like you were standing in it. You sent me that picture.
Oh, yeah. No, I was standing in the middle. What is it, about 10 feet wide at that point?
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. And then,
Yeah.
and obviously not very deep.
No, at that point, it's about just over my ankle, a little bit. Between my knee and my ankle.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah. So, yeah, just to, utilize that, and we can both lean on 34 today, and let's see what it says. Tao is in everything. Tao flows in every direction and is received by all things regardless of their awareness. Beings are born from it, yet it doesn't create them. Its work is every action taken, providing for everything, yet it makes no claim. Being at the root of all things, it is hidden within action. It has no motive, no desire. It promotes the greatness of beings. Thus, its greatness is humble and pure.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a little kitty. Did I hear a cat on your end?
No?
No,
Oh,
I thought I did. All right, well, there it is.
That would not be good.
That would not be good. Okay, so what stood out to you? Anything?
Oh, it's just all kind of beautiful. That ending about, I forgot. I don't have my book open.
Yeah. It has no motive, no desire. It promotes the greatness of beings. Thus, its greatness is humble and pure. Or, being at the root of all things, it is hidden within every action.
Oh, again, all of it. It's just, I went to church and I lived in the park for 2 summers. And so I got to know the workers at the university there. And one of them I sat behind in church yesterday. And so we talked for a good 10, 15 minutes after. I probably haven't seen her in 20 years.
Wow.
So, and it was just, I don't know, again, the whole day. And then I ended up going last night swimming at our lake, and the most beautiful sunset ever. It looked like the Lion King with that red sun. That's what I just kept thinking. And some guy was there scratch offs, and I'm like, look at that sun.
Well, and let's go through this. Let's go through this first a little bit. All right. So Tao flows in every direction and is received by all things regardless of their awareness. You received that sunset. You received all that moment, but you also received the seeing and witnessing the scratch off guy doing the scratch offs. Yeah. But he received what he needed. Right, as well. Like, this is where, beings are born from it, yet it doesn't create them. Its work is in every action taken. It's interesting. Do you believe that even if he can't be aware of the sun going down in this beauty, he's benefiting from it?
Oh, yeah. He, after I first said, I said, look at the sun. He looked, and then he went back to his scratch offs. And then about 30 seconds later, he looked back up and he was like, oh, that really is pretty.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? It's this, regardless of their awareness. Tao flows in every direction, is received by all things, regardless of their awareness. He doesn't have to be aware to be able to receive this.
True. And
he will. And, you said, look at that. And he says, okay, I got this. I got my lucky bucks, and he's scratching and scratching. And maybe he didn't win, but then he looked up.
Yeah.
And that's why he was there. You know what I mean? To have this, it's not going to be life-changing for him, most likely. But it is now a part of his life. That is another, hammer blow to the stone that makes, I've done a lot of things in the creative field, like sculpture and stuff. And breaking stone is really interesting because You'll hit it and hit it and hit it and hit it, and it doesn't look like it's doing anything. And then all of a sudden, this huge stone with one blow after 30, right, just breaks sheer in half, right? It's not as if it had, you had any inclination that it was going to change at all. And I think that you may have gone through experiences like that, where it's like, even when we had met, you were like, I don't know, but I don't want to keep doing this.
Yeah. Totally.
You know? And then it's like, all right, well, let's start hitting the stone. And that's what you do. You just hit it and hit it and hit it and hit it. And eventually it shears. And then you're like, wait a minute, how did I get here? How did this happen? How did I become this person? And it's in nothing singular.
No.
It is in all the things that went into it. You know, so Tao flows in every direction. So whether or not you revert or advance or go laterally, Tao's flowing in that same direction. And you're receiving it regardless of how aware you are. And Mr. Multi-Bucks, you know, he's out there. He's receiving Tao too. Now, he might want to receive Tao as a winning scratch-off. But he's receiving Tao as a winning life if he decides to live it.
Yeah, because I don't think the scratch-offs got him rich, because I asked him that too. So.
And this is the thing. Its work, so Tao's work, is in every action taken. Even your telling him to look at the sky. That action was inspired within you by Tao. Then him looking up and returning to his scratch-offs, that action was inspired by Tao. Because it provides for everything, yet makes no claim. It provided him his addiction, and then it provided him this awareness of beauty. And if he were to have won $1 million, that beauty in the sky would have been possibly less interesting.
Uh-huh.
And he would have been provided for in a way that Tao would have provided for that too, but that would have also provided other experiences that would have continued to change him in ways that would make him unrecognizable. Whether that was, in someone's opinion, good or bad, that's not for us to say.
Right. Huh. I think the whole, trusting yourself, you know, before, a couple years ago, I would have been like, oh, should I talk to this guy or whatever? Nah. And, you know, that internal conflict I would always have. Now I'm like, I just said it.
Yeah. Why sit around and think about it?
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing that a lot right now too, where I'm charismatic, but I'm pushing that past discomfort, right? I'm pushing myself to advance more conversation and have more conversation with more people and do all of these things out in my normal life. I'm volunteering at this art thing. I'm talking to all these people. I'm introducing myself to artists. I'm doing all of this stuff just because I'm like, I want to keep, there are points in my charisma, let's say, that I still doubt and don't advance. And so I'm really sort of exploring those things now, you know. And then it says, being at the root of all things, it is hidden within every action. The fact that I want to do that, the fact that I am challenging myself continually, the fact that every action I take is at the root, because Tao is at the root of everything that I do. I'm being inspired. You inspired. You probably didn't think to say anything and you just said it. Or You said, should I say something? And you're like, fuck it. I'm just going to say, oh, sorry about that. I'm just going to say it, you know, and then you do.
So, and don't you think that's showing more of your true self, challenging yourself, because you are that charismatic person, or I'm the person that, I don't have to sit there and have that internal fight to ask a question of or say something. And
right. That's the thing. Like, I am under the influence of people that told me there's a part of me that is dangerous because I'm so charismatic, right? So there's this part, and remember, like, when you probably know, like, the D-bag, right? If you call me a D-bag, that was the worst thing that you can call me. Well, that was the association. If you utilize this charisma to do this, or if you utilize this charisma and are seen this way, you're a bad person. And that was something that I picked up as a kid, right? And so I didn't utilize my charisma to be seen as, as a D-bag, but I'm sort of naturally, like, I want to. I've always wanted to. I've always kind of been drawn to do that. But then I've always stopped myself because I'm like, oh, they're going to think bad of me if I say this. They're going to think bad of me if I do this. They're going to think bad of me if if I overstep. But then I had to be like, I don't know what overstepping even looks like because I've never done it. And I know myself, and I know that I'm being inspired to be this way or do these things or say these things. Like, talking to someone on a train, like, I sat down next to this, I got on a train, and there's a 21-year-old girl kind of sitting, and she had her shoes on the seat next to her, but it was the only seat left. And I was like, you're going to have to move your shoes. And I was jokingly and stuff, and I was just like, you didn't want anyone to sit here, so you put your shoes here thinking that no one was... And she was like, yeah. And I was like, look, no, there's no other seats. You were going to be out of luck. Lollapalooza is going on downtown. You're not going to... you weren't going to get there without having anyone. And then we talked, and she was yawning, and I was like, that's social anxiety, and we had this great conversation. But in my mind... what it looks like for a 51-year-old man to sit down and talk to a 21-year-old girl is not, that's not, like, you shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? But I did, and I didn't feel bad. And then I like her cousins were bringing her. She's from, like, downstate Indiana, and it was like, and I told her cousins, I'm like, take care of her. She's nervous. She's from, like, Podunk, Indiana. Like, and you're taking her downtown Chicago during Lollapalooza to go clubbing, like, she's nervous, and so that was a really nice exchange, but I would have never had that exchange if I looked at the optics.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I mean, I kind of...
You just dropped off, come back up. And that's where it's like, I have to be able to be myself. I have to be able to, and I'm sure that girl, her name was Jordan, had a great exchange. Go on.
Yeah, no, I agree. I look back at I've always made friends really pretty easily, but I've always put those limits on myself where I don't want to, I question myself, and it's like, well, they don't really want to talk to me.
Right.
But people do, and
they do.
So,
and that's the thing, like, to recognize that you are being guided, right? It is in every action taken, hidden within action. It has like, Tao doesn't have a motive. So Tao doesn't want you to or not to talk to people. But if you do not talk to people, you have a certain outcome, right? Once you start talking to people, once you start hugging people, once you start breaking that boundary and challenging yourself, you become a different person. And you are, I mean, if I, you know, like, you are a different person today than you were 2 years ago.
Oh, yes, totally.
You know, yeah, completely. You know, like, and so would that have happened naturally? Maybe. But if you were to have woken up every day reminding yourself who you were yesterday and continuing that path, there would have never been you would have never opened the door for change to happen. And when we trust that Tao is in everything, then it's right here all the time. And if I surrender to this moment, if I allow myself to be here with this experience, then it might just help me grow into something brand new.
Yeah. And the other, I'm starting to see my influence on others. Well, you know, with that whole camping trip I've done with the boys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, one of the mothers, and then the student, the one who I went to saw his cows or whatever.
Yeah.
They took a trip, their own camping trip, a group of the 5 or 6 that I had gone camping with, and now they are camping on their own over in by Duluth. And it's like, I am proud. I'm like, you know, I did inspire that, to have them, you know, first off, be such good friends. I know it was a catalyst for them.
Yeah.
And then to be able to go camping on their own, and I'm like, oh, that's just so exciting for them.
And I want to just chime in and be like, okay, that's great, and I support that completely. Slippery slope that you're entering, because taking credit for because if, God forbid, one of these kids like hurts the other, you are setting yourself up to take responsibility for that as well.
Okay.
So slippery slope, you're good, but and you did, but the thing is they took it upon themselves to do this, right? They had an experience that you happened to be a part of, but they were ready to have the experience that they did. You can't take credit for that. You can't take responsibility for that. And if you get stories of like things that you would say are negative, even if they turn out to be positive in the end, like in 20 years, right? Like, that's not something that you need to hold on to. That's not something that you need to put this is why this idea of making no claim. Providing for everything yet makes no claim. So that's what you did. You provided for these kids, right? Don't make a claim. You provided something for them and they took it to where they needed to go. So that's where that's a little nuance. And it's not like you have to reject that you were a part of it. You provided it. You provided an experience that they used to enhance their lives.
And now I can just sit back and watch them.
You can sit back and watch them and say, oh, look, far out. Look at what you're doing with that which you... And it's now something else. What you provided last year has evolved and grown and changed and all of this. And what you are seeing isn't what you provided. It is the result of them taking the experience that they had, because they had an experience you did not provide. You've provided an opportunity for them to have an experience. You didn't provide the experience. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So when anytime I see, I did this, I'm always like, okay, we are talking Tao, so let me take you off that pedestal real quick and be like, and remember, you provided an experience, they took it for what it was worth and built on it. You know, like same with the kid in with the driver's license, right? You're even mentioning it gives him, you're providing him with an experience. What he does with it is still up to him.
And that's where I can't get, yeah, no, I understand that
Yeah.
what they do with it, it's good or whatever. And I don't
Yeah.
want to claim if they fall off Gooseberry Falls or something.
Well, right. Like you wouldn't be like, oh my God.
That's my
Like
fault.
there is no, right. Like, and then there's a possibility of you living your entire life holding on to this story that it's like, I inspired these kids to go there and they both like met their doom. It's like, oh, no. We have to, so like, this is where good with the bad, and this is why Taoism, or this idea of Tao, not Taoism as a religion, but the idea that I promote through Tao is non-dual. It's like, it's not good, it's not bad. You just did a thing, and you did a thing because you're inspired to do it. Now, once external things start to inspire you to do things, like external ideas, desires, and other stuff like that, you're still being inspired. But it is, like now you're starting to get into like, well, I got Tao on my side, so this experience is Tao, but I know I don't like that I'm doing this or whatever. And it's like, well, now you got to do some work.
Yeah, but the work gets easier too.
Every day.
I can recognize my people-pleasing ways, though, that I'm really kind of working on lately. And it's just not even as hard as it was 2 years ago, because I started recognizing it much sooner.
Yeah, once you, and that's, and at the core of my work, which is like awareness, the minute you can become aware is the first start of your kind of taking that shift. Once you're like, I don't like that I'm doing this, I can't stop. That's always my thing. If you can't stop, you can't stop. Not my problem, right? But you recognizing that you don't like that you're doing it. That's the beginning, and that's just the seed. That's you putting the seed in the ground, and then you're like, all right, well, I don't like that I'm doing it. I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. I can actually pause this time. Oh, no, I'm doing it again. I can pause. I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again, but I can pause. And then and then eventually you're like, wait, when's the last time I did that? Huh. I'm not even keeping track anymore. And then that's how it evolves. And it just happens slow. But then once you look back, you're like, wait a minute, that didn't take long. Like 2 years for you to change your life completely around like this, that's not a long time.
It feels like it.
I'm sure it does. But, like there are people who have been in like in therapy for 10 years. They ain't got this kind of traction you got.
Yeah, no, you are right. And it's that whole always go back to the language piece. That's what feels so long. It feels like it's been years. So anyway, well,
yeah. That's what brought you in, and so that's gonna be the hard one. But eventually, you're gonna be translating international conversations.
Oh yeah, whatever. I don't think so, but
you wouldn't. No, in
10 years I'll come back to you. I'll be like, guess what I'm doing?
I was like, I did 10 years ago. Yeah. Go back to work.
Don't take.
All right, Marianne. I love you. You have a wonderful day.
I love you too. Thanks. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye-bye. I'm going to bring up JK. I had someone else sneak into my thing, but I didn't see who it was. So if you're out there, come on back. Hey, JK, how you doing?
Oh, yeah. How are you?
I didn't hear you. What was that?
I said I'm well.
Oh, yeah, I'm well. I'm well as well.
Well,
life is easy. I think I'm gonna do some weeding today.
Always an adventure. I like that.
Life is easy.
I was in my garden yesterday a little bit. I don't even know what I did. The soccer ball took down my hawthorn tree, but it's coming back nicely. So.
Wait, I'm thinking of a large hawthorn tree, but I recognize that you just put it in.
Yeah, so it's just a baby, but playing soccer in the backyard took out a bunch of my plants. But you know what? It was okay. He came back.
Yeah, it's all
We
right.
we had a few conversations, me and the Hawthorne,
That's
and
good.
now it's. I looked out today and it had really really nice little blooms coming up and leaves and stuff.
Oh,
I know
good.
Eamon had said, "Oh, it looks sick," and I was like, "It's not sick. It got taken out by the soccer ball." But I did use all of the things that got knocked out, and I made a vinegar with some hawthorn berries and
Oh,
its
wow.
branches and all that, and it's really delicious. It's very different than what I
How long
thought it
does
was
it
going to
take to
taste
make a
like.
vinegar?
It doesn't take. I mean, I use the base vinegar. Like I don't make my own, like the
Oh,
extracting.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
making it from like.
So you're not making it from a mother.
No, no, no. I made it from
Oh.
like the one with the mother that they sell in the store.
Ah, okay, okay. Like, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I
yeah.
was
I
like,
haven't.
wait. It got knocked because because in your story it got knocked down this weekend. It's already coming back, and you made vinegar, and I'm like, wait a minute, that you couldn't. And there's not enough time for all of
I'm
those
time
things.
traveling. No,
Like,
it was knocked
wow.
down a couple of weeks ago, actually.
Oh, okay,
So it
okay,
was,
okay.
yeah.
Because I thought it was. I'm sorry. I was either daydreaming when you said that, or just thinking that it happened last week, over the weekend.
Yeah, no, it happened actually before. I put that in right before I left to drive
Yeah, but I don't
out
know
to
when it got hit
Chicago.
by a soccer ball, right? Like that's the
No,
difference.
no, I
I
know.
know where you
No,
put it
I know.
in.
No, it got knocked down at the same time. Like I took it right away the next day when I saw it was all knocked down.
I
I
get knocked
grabbed all
down,
the
and
branches
I get up
fresh.
again.
That's it.
Uh-huh.
Put it
Well,
in
good.
my vinegar. It was delicious though. It really
Okay.
was. It's a different kind of delicious though. It's more savory of a berry.
Yeah, earthy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah.
Really loved it. And it was like this
I
really
always,
blood red. It was nice.
I always liked. What were we talking about? Sorry.
Hawthorn?
I always liked flavors. So
Mm.
when I was a kid and drinking, um, so I wasn't a kid. I mean, a kid for now, you know. But when I was a kid and drinking and stuff, I never cared about flavor. Like I would just, if I had a little bit of Smirnoff and I had a little bit of Kettle One, I'd mix them together and just drink them. And I wouldn't be able to tell the difference anyway.
Mm.
Because whether it was my taste buds or whether it was just not paying attention or not being aware of the subtle or whatever, I would never distinguish. But near the end of my drinking is when I started smoking. And I was approaching my mid-20s, and that was when, and I smoked Camel non-filters, and the Turkish blend, and it was like, I remember like that first cigarette, I was like, oh, that's an interesting flavor. It's strong, like strong flavor. And I was like, God, I woke up the next day just filled with like this film and gross. And I was like, I'll never smoke again. By noon that day, I was smoking again. So that was it. That was like, I had like 2 or 3 cigarettes one night. And then the next day I was like, I'll never smoke again. Within 6 hours, I was smoking again. And then I didn't quit for like 13 years or whatever it was. But it was in smoking and then ultimately smoking cigars, that got me interested in flavor and interested in being able to distinguish flavors and things like that. And like, I'd smoke a cigar and be like, oh, there's some grass hints, there's some chocolate hints, there's some coffee hints, there's some of these and some of that. And I was like, I wasn't able to ever really explore that in wines and stuff because I was sober. But I did start exploring them in like artisanal ginger beers or ginger ales and root beers, and things like that. And that was always nice. And vinegar is another place. Honey was a place that you'd be able to experience subtlety between different kinds of honey. If you had wildflower honey, or if you had like sunflowers and like honey, or honey that bees were making from very specific flowers and all of that sort of stuff. And then being able to, just be aware and and enjoy, like, even like olive oil or avocado oil or food that is cooked in lard or tallow, and how the flavor profile of the item changes so much. And this is another reason why I don't like going to restaurants, because they're using rancid oils very often, and I can taste that really kind of distinctly now.
Yeah. And it's funny you said that, because you mentioned lard to me recently, and that's what I got into making. I hadn't done this before, but I got into making a body butter, but it's actually for my feet. And
It's
and
part of your
just
body. That's all right.
yeah, it is. And my hands, and it's but I use tallow. I
Hmm.
looked at tallow, and I used tallow and avocado oil, and it came out really nice. Like, it's really good. The thing I'm struggling with is the scent, like, so it doesn't smell like, but playing with the different natural scents that I have, and how do I want to scent, because I have not made essential oils or anything like that.
That's a
It's
that's a
just,
that's a that's a real elaborate process. I mean, you would need
yeah,
a distiller and other things like that, if you
yeah,
wanted to actually kind of extract oils from plants and stuff. That's a. I mean, you can infuse. That's one thing,
yeah.
but for making an actual essential oil, it's a energy heavy process.
Yeah, and I don't know that I'd invest in it, but I do have a
Right. Yeah.
friend
It
who
just needs a
makes,
distiller.
yeah, they make their own soaps. And I actually went up there when I was in the mountains, and I was going to talk to her and see what she uses, because she makes her own. Maybe she'd send me a
So
few.
there are like countertop distillers that
Mm,
are made. I mean, I don't think they're cheap, but there are countertop distillers that you can get, and you can make your own essential oil through something like that. But neither here nor there.
no, for now, I
All right. Well, you
had
got a
some
number.
other
It
stuff. Um, so my number was 34 too.
was 34.
I'd like to do 35. Yeah,
Do
it was
35.
34. Yeah, it was
I mean, I
34.
mean, we can continue on 34. I mean, if that was your number this morning,
I don't mind. I mean, we can do the next one too.
no,
It
do
doesn't
the next
matter.
one. 35. The senses distract. Oh, it's essential oil. Um, those who know Tao cannot be harmed. They remove resistance, and peace remains. Even amid great pain and danger, exciting the senses will distract people, while they see Tao as a silly waste of time. If you look for it, you will see nothing. If you listen for it, you will hear nothing. If you use it, it will support you forever.
That's nice. That last part always gets me with this one. And listening to earlier on, talking to Marianne about talking to people. I remember the first person after I left my house. We were in New York City, and it was after COVID. I was still wearing a mask. We had to go visit NYU for Grace, and the first person I hugged, that was really outside of my immediate family, like the people I lived with, was a homeless guy. He had lost his dad. And I don't know. I said, "Can I give you a hug?" And it was so out of the box for me. Like, that was just so out of the box. I was like, Grace looked at me and she's like, "Are you okay?" Like, that they slipped something in. And I was like, I had to give this guy a hug. He was, I don't know, we just connected. And of course, afterwards, the anxiety slipped in, and I wasn't afraid of anything other than at the time getting COVID, because, little guy was at home and all this other stuff. And from there, as I continue to open up, like you said something about hugging people, and it really is like it's a thing. Like, I hug a lot of people now, but and a lot of strangers, oddly enough. That idea of like opening up, and when I did, and I did a lot of that when I was here the year before to New York to see Grace, to take her to those doctor's appointments, and just starting to talk to people again. and remembering what that was like, regardless of how anxious I was about having that conversation. And you don't realize it, like that's what I read in that about, there's nothing to see. It's flowing and going to 34. It's flowing through us anyway. You can't see it. You don't know what's going on. And I like your analogy of the stone, because there are these micro cracks that are happening every single time. And we just don't notice it. And then all of a sudden, one day, ta-da, you've got part of your sculpture.
When you're talking about this, it's really hard to not kind of look at that first line of this. Those who know Tao cannot be harmed. They remove resistance and peace remains. The idea that, like you see a homeless person, like, we want to keep our distance. Traditionally, that's the idea. And this is coming right after, right? Tao is in everything. Right. So Tao flows in every direction and is received by all things regardless of their awareness of it. The homeless person doesn't have to be aware that they are receiving Tao. But those who know Tao cannot be harmed. Why can they not be harmed? If we go back to 34, it's like, because we recognize that it is received by all things, regardless of they don't have to, that homeless man doesn't have to be aware that he is receiving Tao, but the fact that you know that you're receiving Tao, because you know Tao, you know that he cannot harm you. He cannot harm you because you've removed resistance to the idea of even being harmed. I mean, this is extreme, obviously. Like the homeless person is extreme, but we are going to an extreme level here in this conversation. Like this takes years, if not decades, or a lifetime or multiple lifetimes to get to a place where you removed resistance to a place where peace is the only thing that remains. And it says, even amid great pain and danger. And what is pain and danger? That's the idea of it. Because when you're in those states, you're in it. You're not, that fear, that pain, that's so much of that, all of that danger. It's all in your head. You've excited the senses and you're distracted. You're distracted by you're distracted by the manifestation, and you forget your connection to everything. You forget your connection to the homeless. You forget your connection to Tao. And while they see Tao as a silly waste of time. Once your senses get excited, that is so prevalent in your life. It's so powerful. It's so conspicuous that any thought of Tao, any thought of something subtle, becomes a silly waste of time. When you look for it, when you look for Tao, there's nothing to see. It's not conspicuous. It's not obvious. When you listen for it, again, not obvious, not conspicuous. But when you use it, when you know Tao, when you use that, you can hug a homeless person without fear. And then your fear comes back, and that's what you're receiving. Your fear comes back, and you get to look at yourself again, because you are not yet, right, or ever will be, a master who has removed all resistance. Peace remains. Peace is here, but then your peace is disturbed because of the thoughts of having done it. What now? Or whatever.
And I needed that fear, though, to come back because that was a real pivot point for me, because I decided it was worth it. It was worth it at that point, because what I received was so much. It was so much I can't even explain.
Right. You can't. And that's where it's like when it says you give your possessions and you only receive more. Right? That's what that line meant. I mean, that's not in either of these verses, but that's the line in the Tao. I'll go find it. Yeah, the master's possessions are not part of the manifestation. Giving away her possessions, she only receives more. One's not going to wake up to be a master. You were a master in that moment. And then you weren't. Right? And then there'll be another moment in which you'll be a master again. and then you won't be. And that's the whole thing, right? So the master's possessions are part of the manifestation. So in that moment, you were a master, and your possessions were not part of manifestation. You gave away your possession by hugging someone, and you only received more. And that's number 81. So that's advanced stuff. Go ahead.
And the thing is, you don't start from the same place. And I think a lot of times, like, we're constantly shifting. Like you said, those little, well, like you said earlier, and I repeated, was like those micro cracks. And so that was then the foundation I was starting from. Like I did that, and then to be further on as I continued, I didn't know at the time I was going to have to be in New York like every other week. Felt like sometimes, I had no clue, but that preparation for that, was part of that visit, that initial time where I, you know, was able to connect with this other being and be able to, I don't know what he got from it, but for me, it was a huge pivot point in my journey, and what actually I had been outside at that point, but obviously if I was in New York, but I was still terrified. Um, and I was less terrified after that. That's just something I remember. But, each time I went out, I looked at it as a little progression, a little step, a little step, a little step. And I think we're constantly going to, I don't know, I have my crazy ideas of what happens, but, we're constantly going back and forth and back and forth. But just knowing that we're not starting from this new place. You are starting from a new place. You're not starting from that other place that you were at before. And as I talk about this, that's what kind of sticks out to me. It just reinforces the idea. I've been thinking about that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It just takes us into the directions that, that's the thing. Are we inspired to, be here? Are we inspired to take this experience and build on it? And that's the thing. That's what Tao is here to do. That's Tao's here to do. Tao doesn't care. But all of this is here for a reason. So let's utilize it as best we can. It's hidden in everything. So might as well try and seek it out.
Yeah. It's there for you. It's, and it is a lot of perspective. It's great because you can't see it, but you know that you're being held anyway. And there's so many layers of it, as I revisit these triggers that I had previously, as I find myself in that space. I had that week at work. I felt like I was, less than in this situation twice. And I turned around and, I'm in this moment. I just take a breath and I'm like, but you're not. And you know this, and then I can respond in a way I can endorse and not be submissive in it, not be submissive to my emotions, to being angry, because I wasn't angry, I was like, you want to dismiss what I'm going to say? Okay, I'll let you go. And then, at some point I was inspired to say, hey, that's not what I said. And this is what I'm asking of you. If you don't want to do it, okay. But I'm not going to, somebody asked me, this is what I'm going to do. And this is my plan, and stand up for myself in a way that's positive, and and then later on in the week, I had something where, I was presenting and somebody dismissed what I said and was basically like, no, I want you to do this. And I said, you can want me to do that, but I'm still not going to do it. I said, I'm going to finish my sentence because I need to. This is my job. This is what has to be done. I need to communicate this timeline. I said, and then we can get back to what you need. If you had the control, well, you could have done what you wanted, but you don't at this point, in that kind of way. And I wasn't upset. I wasn't lost in my emotion and all of those things. And that That has taken me a really long time to do. I would be assertive before, but not in a way that I can endorse. I was angry and I held on to it. Well, look at what happened. I went on talking.
Yeah, no, I think that's yeah. Those are the things that help us grow. Like you know, like you have an experience, and you either like that you did it, you don't like that you did it, you like the outcome, you don't like the outcome. All of these little things, like all of that kind of stuff, really just continues to,
Bound.
yeah, and that's what we do. We just have this experience, no matter what. Like, this is the experience that we're having. I'm locked in it, or I am stuck in it, or I like that I'm doing it, I don't like that I'm doing it, I like the outcome, I don't like the outcome, whatever. And we can, and we move with that. The senses distract. So, when it says those who know Tao cannot be harmed, like, you only feel that way when your mind, when your thoughts are in turmoil, right? Like, because it's like, well, I'm going to be harmed by either, even, it's great to be able to stand up and challenge yourself, but it's also great to challenge yourself to sit down, and be still. And those things have to have balance, and there's not one right answer. Every situation is going to require you to be present in that situation. And there's not a right way to do it.
No. And finding that balance is uniquely yours, where you need
Every
to sit,
time.
where you need to.
Every single moment, finding that balance is uniquely yours. It's not, it's not like one size fits all. It's not like one answer for you, another answer, or under. We'll never really be able to shortcut to there is one right answer. I was talking to this person on the train, and they were saying, well, murder's bad, because this religious person. I was like, murder's bad. I was like, really? You eat meat? Like, immediately, yeah. Like, it's all right then, right? Like, it's all right for us to murder a cow, And it's like, well, people. And it's just like, well, now you're splitting hairs.
Yeah.
It's like, and she's like, well, what if I became a vegetarian? And it's just like, do you know how many animals are killed when you have a combine running through a field? It's like, and you do that, and there are animals in the field, so you do that, like, purposely. It's like, so when you talk about these things, this, and the number that person had picked when we were on the train, I was like, this is what I do. Thoughts will lead a mind to turmoil. And I was like, right, you kind of telling yourself in your mind that murder's bad, and the mental gymnastics you have to do to make sure that rule can remain. It's like, it's going to lead your mind to turmoil. And that's the thing. That's how this all plays out. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
I'll talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.
Bye-bye. I'm going to bring up Melissa. It's been a while since I've talked to Melissa. How are those scallops?
I haven't had them yet. I'm going today to the Eastern Shore, so I will. Oh,
is it today? So, yeah, okay. I thought it was.
No, I'm leaving today. In fact, I still have to finish packing, and but I figured I would come up and talk to my buddy Martin John.
Yeah,
and
love a good buddy chat.
Right, exactly. But you know what I did make for the first time ever, Martin John? I was proud of myself. I made jambalaya.
You made jambalaya? Jambalaya is good. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it was really yummy because, I love seafood, and it has shrimp and sausage, and I made a healthy version. Instead of rice, I did cauliflower rice, and I had tomatoes.
It'll get wet sometimes.
Oh, it was good. And I had tomatoes, fresh tomatoes that my friend had grown in his garden. Yes, It was yummy. It was a yummy.
Nice. Did you have your friend over to eat some of his own tomato?
No, I didn't, but I went to the Bible museum with him, and it was funny because he had a wheelchair because he's got like mobility issues, and he like was like Speedy Gonzalez. Every time we turned around, we lost him. We're like, where'd Joe go? Joe is gone again. It was so funny. We went to the Dead Sea Squirrel show, and we thought it was the Dead Sea Scroll, and no, it was this cartoon. It was so funny. Joe did not like the cartoon, and Joe was gone again. We're like, where did Joe go?
Let's just call him Wheels.
Yeah, Wheelie. Where was Mr. Wheels? He was just gone and gone again.
Oh, well, that's a fun weekend.
Yeah, it was. I had a lot of fun at the Bible Museum. In fact, the guy that did our guided tour said we were the fun group. I'm like, yes, I like being the fun
That's
group.
That's good. Look at you guys going out in the world, spreading joy.
Right? Exactly. Why not? Life is too short.
That's a fact, man. Well, good. Anything else going on? You're bringing your mom to the shore.
Yep, we're heading down there, and yeah, I'm hoping that it's not going to. Weather is just weather, and it happens, but it's supposed to rain all week, and I'm like, no, well, I'm at the beach. How am I going to go to the beach if it's raining every day? But, it's going to be what it's going to be. And I did some thrifting. Oh, I love thrifting. I love a good thrift. And my grandmother used to call them Cheap Charlies, so I call them Cheap Charlies. So I went to 2 different Cheap Charlies this week, and I got like stuff for the beach. And I found the perfect beach book. So, even if it rains, I'm going to take my coloring books. I got a book to read. I'll take my computer. So, if it rains, it'll be okay.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. And your mom will be there, so you can just hang out. Exactly. Hang out, play canasta.
Well, you know what? Now, I don't know how to play canasta, but I did at the thrift store. I got a $1.99 magnetic dartboard, so I'll take that with us, and we can play darts. There you go. Play
darts, yeah.
Are you any good at darts?
No, I don't drink anymore.
Well, I don't drink either. Well, sometimes you don't have to drink to play darts.
I don't know what darts is.
The two are not mutually exclusive or synonymous or something.
They're not mutually exclusive, but no, I don't. I don't play darts. I lived with a dartboard for a short time, and it was fine. It was fun, and but again, that was when I was drinking. So I don't. I remember people buying darts and like tails and all of these sorts of things for their darts, and I always had those plastic ones, red and blue.
Well, yeah, this one's got the red and yellow, but what's cool is because it's magnetic, it doesn't even have the points. And I was thinking I could even take it to school because you just hang it up, and the darts are magnetic and it sticks to the board.
Do they stick or do they bounce off?
I didn't try it. I'll have to wait.
$1.99, I guess, is going to pop off.
I'll get back to you and let you know how it works.
All right, let's find a number.
Okay, we're going to go with the number 10 today, my friend.
Oh, number 10.
Mm-hmm.
Authentic action. You say that just for some whatever reason. When I went over to my buddies that has this Center for Mad Culture in Chicago, I went into town last weekend, and he was like, the verse that I like the most is, and he talked about, the wheel and the axle, it's the place the axle goes. And that was number 11. And I always feel so good when someone can say, oh, this is my favorite verse of the Tao. Burr, burr, burr. And it was like, I don't know what number it is. And I'm all like 11. And then I can open it up and be like, here's my version.
I love that your friend has a favorite verse. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't know he had a relationship with the Tao Te Ching at all. So
do you have a favorite verse?
No, they're depending on my conversation, the conversations that I have. There have been favorite verses throughout my relationship with the Tao. But now there's all these different lines and all these different things that I'm still grappling with that I know like are in my head. And then there are lines and verses that I have grappled with really heavily. And those, I have special sentiment for those, I suppose you could say. But I don't have anything. I wouldn't lean on anything and be like, that's my favorite, and I'm finding, just like I've talked about pre-karmic buffet, you got to find in your life the deliciousness, no matter how bitter this thing is.
I love that. Find the deliciousness.
That's something that I'm finding, because there are still some verses, and I don't know what they are offhand, but they still have some bitterness to them, and I'm still trying to find the deliciousness within that. So
let's find the deliciousness in authentic action, my friend.
Authentic action. Can you control your mind so it doesn't wander? Can you control your body so it doesn't wander? Can you endorse all that you do? Can you love everyone so as to inspire them? Can you do all this without interfering and remain unknown? Can you leave behind knowing and open yourself to understanding? Can you be like Tao and give birth without possessing? Can you be like Tao and act without expecting? Can you be like Tao and lead without dominating? If so, it would be considered great. See, I when I get to the end of this one, I love that idea of if so.
Yeah.
If so, that would be considered great. And it's like it's not telling you what to do. It's asking you, can you do this? Yeah. And it's not assuming that it should even be done. It's just saying, can you? Can you control your mind so it doesn't wander? No. I can't.
That's exactly what popped into my head when you were reading it. I'm like, nope, I can't do that.
Right.
Nope.
Can you control your body so it doesn't wander? Sometimes, but there are times where my body wanders plenty. And can you endorse all that you do? And I'm like, I can endorse a lot that I do, but there's things that I don't like that I do, so I can't endorse those things.
Yeah, like Marianne and we have that people-pleasing thing going on. I can't endorse it. I don't like it.
Right.
I know.
And can you love everyone so as to inspire them? Well, I hope so, but
I wish I could love everyone,
right.
But I struggle sometimes.
And so question after question after question in this one, it's all, well, sometimes, yes. And if I were to not be critical in any way, I'd be able to say yes to something, but it wouldn't necessarily be true. Can you leave behind knowing and open yourself to understanding? Well, I know that I still have judgment. I know that I still have those things that that stand in the way for me to understand everything. I get upset at the administration. I get upset at the world. I get upset at FIFA for the World Cup. I get upset at all of these different things, And then it's like, can you be like Tao and give birth without possessing? And it's like, oh, well, like my show, can I give birth without possessing my show? And no, I just keep calling it my show. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
I do know what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
And
and so,
that one, I was like, nope, I can't do that either.
As those things kind of come in, it just, and really, this is a great verse about awareness, because it's like, are you aware? And it doesn't even use the word awareness anywhere in it. It's just like, are you aware of how your mind wanders? Because if you're aware of how your mind wanders, or how your mind wanders, you'll be able to deal with that situation slowly. If you're aware of how your body wanders, you'll be able to deal with that, because she's like, then you can recognize, I don't like that I do this. I don't like that. Even with like, for you going to the beach, you're like, oh, it says it's going to rain all weekend. How am I going to? Oh, let's just see what happens. Like, right? Your mind started to wander, and then you shut it down. Where I know Melissa a year and a half ago would have told story, and she would have had, like spin-offs of that story, and she would have had like all sorts of stuff, and that would have made this week a mistake rather than being, let's see what happens.
Yep, we'll see. Because, I actually got a homework assignment, but it won't be at home, from Julie. I talked to her the other day, and she was telling me when I get to the pool there, I just have to float. And just observe. And I'm like, oh yeah. So I am ready to get to the pool and just float and observe. And I have to report back on my observations.
Oh, well, you did get homework.
I know, but it's
Julie's giving homework?
Yeah.
What's this?
Right? Exactly. I'm like, I got an assignment here.
You do.
While I'm on vacation. I'll be on assignment on vacation. That's,
This is truly Julie?
Yes, our Julie.
Wow. She's got big britches right there, giving homework assignments.
Vacation assignments, not
I'm
homework
telling you,
assignments.
what is
not
this?
Vacation assignments.
I'm sure if you came back and said, I didn't do it, she'd be fine. But.
Oh, no. I love the water.
Yeah,
I love
I
it.
know.
So
Yeah.
I will definitely be looking forward. And who knows? Maybe it'll be raining and I'll just get rained on while I'm laid in the pool.
Yeah, observing.
We'll see.
I was observing that. That's it. That's it. Just being like,
the
well, what is
raindrops
it?
falling on my face.
Yeah. And what is it that you're observing? I'm observing this. Okay. That's good. And without judgment, right? Without story. This is what I'm observing. That doesn't mean that that's what's happening, but this is what I'm observing.
Well, we will see. We will definitely see what happens, my friend. I am almost confident that I will be getting scallops at some point, and that's very high on the list of to-dos while I am on the Eastern Shore.
Yeah, well,
and some fresh Silver Queen corn and tomatoes. All of those things. Yes.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you have a little list and you go out.
I do. I'm a good list maker, Marianne. I made a list of all the my meals for the week, and the scallops were on there. The corn and the tomatoes, they were on there. And I even gathered up my stuff that I need to take with me. I'm
now
getting
you're
it all
not going to be
together,
alone.
my friend.
Did you reach out to your mom and say, do you have anything for this list?
Well, I know the corn and tomatoes, that's a thing. And I know the scallops, and there's this other place called the Shrimp Boat where we go to get shrimp. So I didn't I kind of planned, but no, I was bad. I didn't ask her about what she needed to incorporate on the list.
Let's just have a little awareness that there's going to be other people involved. I mean, I can hear your expectation. And I'm just saying, it's good to have a conversation.
I know. I still struggle with that. Yes,
that's all right. That's all right. Life is easy. You got, now that you can choose to do it, not do it, like it, don't like it, like that you're doing it, not like that you're doing it.
Well, I did ask her about one thing. You'll
definitely get some scallops, but.
Yes, definitely we'll get some scallops, because we did have some avocados here, and I did ask her if she was planning on taking those with us to the beach. So that should have opened. Oh, wait, I should it on myself. Stop it, Melissa. We'll just see. I'll ask her and we'll see what happens. How about that?
That's what we do. Yeah, see what happens. We're going to see what happens one way or another, but It's nice. It's nice to ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when you're not, because if you think it's all about you, very often, if you think it's all about you, the person that you are forgetting will remind you that it's not, in a way that you may have to be forced to reckon with. So thank you for coming up. I didn't realize you dropped off. But yeah, thank you guys so much for all of your support, all your love. Marianne, JK, Melissa, anybody else that wants to pick a number, you definitely come up. I'll be back tomorrow, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Central Time. We're here talking about the Tao Te Ching. And yeah, if you guys benefit from the work I do here, please consider checking out the links in my profile. Those can lead you to support me and the show through Venmo or Buy Me a Coffee. I'm always open to connecting with you guys. So if you want to go to my website, you can set up a call. It's a free 30-minute consult that you can get once, and we can talk about what it looks like to work with me, what it looks like to do this work. I think, everybody that came up today, I've worked with in a variety of ways, and the progress is remarkable. So thank you guys so much for being such great people out in the world, and for, I'm grateful. But just like I was talking to Marianne, I don't take credit. You guys were ready. I just exposed you to the experience to be able to grow. And I'm grateful for the growth that you're making, not only for me, but for the world around us. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.